Has a full look of your forecast as we're rounding out Christmas here, Cedric.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. Thankfully, we're not dealing with that right now across the Tennessee Valley, and we don't expect that. One of the bigger reasons why is because temperatures are in the 60s, so you're not going to get a scene like that here when you have temperatures in the 60s, but believe it or not, we could have a couple of, nothing like that, but we could have a couple of flakes coming down from the sky as we go throughout later this week. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment, but first, here's a look at the weather map. Again, the widespread rain is decreasing and pushing off into the Carolinas, but we still have some scattered showers that will be with us off and on throughout the evening hours. We've got to wait for this cold front to the west to make its way on through, but the good news is, again, that widespread soaking rain is now pushing to the east, and we should see things slowly but surely drying out. But as that happens, we'll likely see some of that dense fog developing overnight. So be aware, visibility will become reduced as we go throughout this evening, and that could be an issue if you're going to be hitting the roadways. Now, as Greg was mentioning there, we were talking about those blizzard conditions across portions of South Dakota over towards Nebraska and down into Kansas. Again, this low pressure is actually going to break off of this storm system. So right now it's up into the northern Midwest right now, but it's going to break off and move south and potentially squeeze out a few snowflakes for us. Again, nothing like what they're seeing out that way, but it is something that we're going to be watching closely in the next day or two, so stay tuned for that. All right, we had a lot of rainfall today. Up on Mowbray Mountain, almost an inch of rainfall there, almost an inch and a half here at Local 3. Don and Trenton had about 2 inches of rain. Same story there from Paul and Red Bank. We had about a little under a half an inch there from Ronnie and East Brainerd, about an inch in Cleveland, about 1 inch in Athens, over an inch of rain, and from Cindy and Riceville, Billy and Dunlap had about an inch and a half, over 2 inches in Rossville, and about an inch and a quarter there from Mason and Dalton, and about an inch and 2/10, almost an inch and a quarter there in Jasper from Lovis. Now, so look at here in the Chattanooga, officially we had 1.68 inches of rainfall, so yes, another good soaking rain. I mean, I'll tell you, remember there was a time we could not buy rainfall like this. We were in such a big drought, and all of a sudden we turned the faucets on, and yeah, they are continuing to provide lots of water for us, and that's good news. Temperatures still 60 degrees, so it's still a very mild rain. And again, we're watching the visibilities. They're starting to come down now, and I expect to see more of those areas of dense fog developing as we go throughout tonight. So while the rain coverage will decrease as we go throughout tonight, the fog will likely increase by tomorrow morning. So give yourself extra time, and again, just take your safety precautions with that. We should see a few peaks of sunshine by tomorrow afternoon, but we'll call it partly to mostly cloudy skies. All right, here's the upper level pattern. That first system pushing on off towards the east now. You see this big circle wound up here? This is a cold core low pressure. It has its own cold air with it. It's going to break off from that main storm system and just rotate right down into the Tennessee Valley. So as it does so, it tends to act almost like a wet rag or a sponge. It helps to squeeze out any available moisture, and since it brings its own cold air, yeah, that can mean a few snowflakes could mix in with a few rain showers here locally. Not expecting any major accumulations with this or anything, but you'll see that first system moves out. Here comes that cutoff low, and notice as we get at the clock here, Thursday night into Friday morning, it may have just enough moisture to squeeze out a few of those snowflakes here in the Tennessee Valley, especially across the higher elevations. Again, not going to amount to a big deal, but hey, maybe the first few snowflakes for some as we go throughout the season. So we'll watch that. Here's one of the computer models that we're looking at. It's the GFS model, our American model here. And again, I don't want you to focus on the actual numbers, so I took those off just to show you there's a chance of a few light accumulations. Again, I don't think it'll be a big deal, but you could see a dusting out of that. The bigger story overall is going to be the below average temperatures to round out 2023 and to kick off 2024, as I think temperatures are going to stay on the chilly side. So here's a look at that Storm Alert 7-day forecast. Again, looking fairly mild to begin the next 7 days, but all of a sudden, Thursday into Friday, yeah, it's going to get colder, maybe a few snowflakes. And again, right now, not looking like a big deal, but we'll keep an eye on it. And then chilly right into 2024.